Hello and welcome. For this first lesson, I'm going to talk about how I would like you to put your marketing campaign together. Okay, so first what you need to do is design your overall look. And if we were in class, I would make you design sketches and lay it all out in sketches ahead of time. But what we're going to do first is feel free to design your poster or your ad in Photoshop first, because really when you're designing something, it's just a little bit easier to just kind of do it all in one. Depending on the artwork, if it's really Photoshoppy, that might work for you. However, sometimes it's also easier to design right in InDesign, depending on as you get better with it and as you get more comfortable with the different programs. Depending on this vision that you have in mind, you'll know which way to approach it. However, what I'll do is this one, I'll just pretend that we designed it and kind of did it all in Photoshop first. But then what we need to do is separate our elements so we can use them in different pieces. Okay, like the examples you can see, like some are horizontal, some are vertical. So we just need to make them so they look better in each. So what I'm going to do, and I've already done it, this part here, I think it's important, like say the head, and just for the sake, you know what, this is also another head that I kind of had going, but it wasn't working for me, it wasn't bold enough, and so I went to this one. What I'm going to do is actually I'm just going to take this and we're going to make this, I'm going to duplicate that, and we're going to duplicate it into a brand new document. And so that'll just pop all that up in a new document, and I'm just going to crop it, okay? And so I'm just going to save that down, which I've already done, just showing you how to do that. And then, let's get rid of that. And then what I would just do is I would get rid of this. I would actually delete this stuff just for the sake of memory, and then I would save these files down separately. Then you'll see in my, if I can just go real quick, I've got this stuff itemized here. Let's just go to here, and you can see here I already have the file here, just the plain background. I have my head there as well. And so let's just go to InDesign, and we're just going to start putting things together. So let's just go to InDesign, and I'm going to make a new document. Go File and New Document, and see what kind of, okay, so it gives me what do you want, what kind of a file do you want? Do I want tabloid? Do I want whatever? It's easiest just to go to Print, okay, and it gives you all the print options. You can view more presets if you like. You can also design stuff for your phone. You can also design stuff for the internet, whichever. We're going to go to Print. And actually I want to talk English here. Let's switch it from picas, which is a printing type of thing, to inches. And then that way, if I go and I go to tabloid, inches, I know that that's 11 by 17. That's the right size for me. Okay. So let's just go create. And I've got my blank document here. Let's blow this up. So let's just start importing our different items here. We can use layers if we like. Oh, by the way, if your screen looks different than mine, I kind of like using, you have different workspaces depending on what you're building. You'll see here that interactive PDFs or digital publishing for making like websites or whichever. I kind of like the Essential Classics because that's just where I already know where stuff is. You can just do whatever works best for you, but this is my preferred workspace because I already know where everything is. Let's go to File, and I'm going to Place. It's not Import, it's Place, and I'm already going to go get my raw microphone background. Going to import that, okay? And don't go File and Open, make sure you go File and Place. And then I'm just going to drop that in, click there, and you can see I'm just going to drop it in, and it's already kind of the right size, but it's not actually. What I need to do is I need to blow that thing up bigger than my page. So am I in preview mode? No, I'm in normal mode. Good. So what I want to do is just use my free transform tool. Photoshop has, have to go Control T. This actually has a tool there. Why Photoshop doesn't have a free transform button? Good question. And what I want to do is I'm going to, let's zoom back just temporarily. And I'm going to use the free transform tool to make my page too big. And you can see this is there's my edge of my paper, and I'm going to just make it too big so it spills over the edge. Okay, and this has got some white stuff here, going to make it too big, and so it spills over the edge. There's my edge there. And so actually if I go into preview mode, you'll see there, it shows you where it's getting trimmed off by the paper. But you can also see here, because I've got it selected, I've got all that much extra. That's because when we want it printed by a printer, and he's going to use his big guillotine and slice 500 at a time, he's going to slice along this edge, and we just need to give him a margin of error. So we need to give him extra stuff that can be cut off if we need it. Okay. Sometimes I've had to actually create stuff when I didn't have extra, but that's a different story. Okay, so let's now that I've done that, I can work in my preview mode. There. Now, if you were to say if you had different elements on there, like you can build. Let's go back. And say if I wanted to have like a black box with the information, because like say you couldn't read your type here and you needed to add some extra elements. Let's just for the sake of argument, I'm just going to add a box here, and I'm just going to color it black. Okay. It doesn't matter. Like say if I work in it doesn't matter how much bleed you spill over, how much extra you spill over. If you go, when I'm designing, if I were to go into my preview mode here, that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so you can have a black box and have it spill over the edge as much as you want. It doesn't matter. Typically, when I'm designing something, you're going to give a printer you're going to specify them, what they like is 1/8 of an inch over, which is probably, if you look at it, 1/8 of an inch, that's 1 inch, that's 1/2 an inch. So like one of these little specks. So really you only need to give him like a little, like about that much. Okay, and you could do it perfectly with your measurements up here if you want. So you don't need to give much, but if you want to, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So actually, I'll leave that in for now, just for argument's sake. Next, I'm going to put in my my headline. So because I've saved it as a separate Photoshop file, I'm going to go File and Place, Control D or Command D, and then I'm going to go to Head. There's my head, and then I'm going to drop it in. Okay. Now watch out, because if I were to click it in here, it could very well, sometimes it might replace it. If I were to go, you got to watch, if I go File and Place, and sometimes it'll say, oh yeah, here we go here. It might say Replace Selected Item. So if you have, so if I had an item selected already, it might just automatically replace it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to select this. Go File and Place, and put my head in. Watch out, because it replaced it, because it was selected. Okay, if you have something, so just watch out that you go Place and you don't have it selected, so it's not replacing. A way to get out of that, oh no, I'm importing this and I've got something selected, just click outside the area, and then so it won't go inside, and then you can just drop that where you want it. Okay, so now I can, there's my poster. I can go and I can resize this if I want to by clicking the free transform button, and I can make that a bit bigger if I want to, holding down the shift key to keep it proportional. And I've already got, you'll notice though that I have done a few things here. If you notice that if I go away here, you'll notice it's kind of dark around here, and there are some lights. See how that light is darker than here? I did that in Photoshop, and that's one of the benefits of designing something in Photoshop first. Now, and I'm putting it in here. Now you'll want to start entering your type just like you learned last year doing the magazine assignment. I'm going to click on the type tool, build a maybe a box here, and just start entering my type. Okay, so when you are building that type, and actually I'm not going to lie, I've already done this. I'm going to go get it from over here just to save some time. And I already put it in here. Okay. So this can go here, or you can also I could have also worked it down into here if I wanted to, depending on your own design. Please make sure that what goes on an item makes sense. Like, it makes sense that you're going to have on a poster where it's going to be like in the barber shop, or it's going to be in the school hallway, whatever. It's got like when it is, where it is, how to buy tickets, okay? Whereas on the tickets, you're not going to say how to buy tickets, okay? But you will say when the event is and where it is, because somebody's bought a tickets, a couple of months passes and they don't forget where they put it. So, or they forget where the event is. So please put relevant information on the appropriate piece. So now getting back to why I've done this, let's go make our advertisement. Okay, I forget what size the advertisement is, so I'm going to make a new document. And actually, I'm just going to make a 8.5 by 11 page because I don't really care. I'm going to go inches. Okay, and then print. And then letter. Okay, I'm just going to go letter, and it doesn't matter if it's horizontal, because like really, say this is your magazine page, and you're just going to design your magazine like within this size. Okay, and that size is oh, look at that! I got to set my let's set up my preferences. Let's go to File and Preferences, InDesign, Preferences, and increments, units, and we're going to set it to inches. There we go. There, now, and so I think my document size, I think was 7 by 5 or 4.5, something like that. I think that was the size of it, but I'm going to run with that for now. Please check. So we've got the, so this is the size. I can build my paper here, but it's going to go into the person's into the magazine anyways. So let's go get my artwork that I've already kind of compiled, and I've got it here. I'm going to go copy, and I'm going to paste it into here, and we'll throw our elements off to the side here. Let's work with our actual box that we're working with first. I'm going to shrink this down. Going to go to the free transform tool. There we go. Going to shrink that down, holding down the shift key to keep it proportional. And I've kind of got my box. I'm just going to make the box, the container for the box, the different size, the right size. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the arrow tool. Now, if you remember from grade 11, the black arrow tool, the selection tool here, if I click on this, it actually is the it actually selects the container for my actual image, and I can crop into this image however I like. Okay, and I'm going to make that image, make that box the exact right size. In fact, and I know it is. I look at my width, look at my height. It's 7 by 4.5. If those are the right measurements. The white arrow here, the direct selection tool. If I click on that, and I click on this, it selects the image within the graphic. So what I can do, let's just, I can, it selects the image within the container. So I'm going to move that within my cropped image, okay? And then I'm just going to blow that up. Now, in a perfect world, let me make that bigger. What I also could do is have the Photoshop, have the microphone as a separate PSD file, and I can size that up myself, because for my layout right now, I think that is maybe just a little big for what I want to do. Okay, there's ways to cheat that, but if I wish that I had more on the left-hand side, but I'm going to run with it for now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my headline and I'm going to put that over here, and I'm going to use the free transform tool to shrink it down. Now mind you, all these things have the same little rules for all the different graphics. Like say if I had this direct selection tool, I could use that to crop in. Okay, and I could have used this, the direct selection tool, to size that within that. But because I don't need to crop it, then I'm just going to use the free transform tool. And I'm going to shrink that down to an appropriate size. Okay. So that works like that. Now, just to kind of, and then what you would do is take the relevant information from this, and I would shrink this down, and then I would have to start, rearranging things to look like it looks proper in here. Okay. And as well, if you have graphic elements like this, this bar here, which actually this bar might save me. What I could do, and I'm just going to do a little trick here, because the bar kind of went down here, and we had it at the bottom of our poster. Well, okay, let's just do a little trick here. I'm going to put this here. Okay. So what if my headline overlaps that? And actually, let's work in preview mode so you can see that. So what that my headline overlaps that? I think it kind of looks cool. Maybe I would just do it so maybe it kind of aligns with that a little bit more or something. I don't know. Or the word wonderful. I think that actually looks better. So what that would allow me to do, because I put this graphic element into it, I can use the direct selection tool, click on this to select the image within this cropped box here, and shrink that down to more of a usable size. All right, so now that's a bit more of a usable size. That kind of looks cool. So that's an easy way to get around it. So now the microphone is smaller, and using my down arrow just to nudge that down using the arrows. And that would allow me to, that's a cheat, rather than actually extending, having more trees in behind here. And then I can just make that a little bit bigger. Okay, and then take my information down here and reconfigure my information down here. How would I kind of make the information look a little bit better? Well, okay, so rather than having things stacked, I would have to maybe just have things on one line. Okay, make that text box bigger. Evening shows, and just maybe you might have to, in the Medway High School Performing Arts Center. Okay, so you just have to rearrange your type somehow. I would probably find another place for this, for that, and purchase tickets at, and then the same thing. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking this information, making it or orient it better to be in a horizontal environment. And then what I'd probably do also, and I'll go back and I'll do it on the poster here too, don't forget that all those little tricks that you can do in Photoshop can be done in InDesign here. If I were to go on, I think it's under, I know the quick keys are Command Option M, so I just got to find it. If I can't find it, I might have to just use, it's called Effects. What happens if I double click, if I right click? Effects. Effects, drop shadow. You can add things like a drop shadow. Let's click on Preview. And you can, oh, so that's too much. And make my size of my blur smaller. There we go. Let's make it super small, 0.05. That's that, oops. Go back in. 5, make my distance smaller. Let's go 0.05. and then going to make that stronger. Actually, you can see the thing. We just need to make, let's make it 0.03. There, so you're starting to see the drop shadow now. As well, you can also do like all your outer glows and stuff. As well, if you wanted to, you could actually select the actual type here. And I'll just only do it for this section here just to show you. And this is your fill color. This is your outline color. If you wanted to add an outline to your type here, and then let's see, I don't see it up here, so it must be here. If I go to stroke, and you can increase the weight of your stroke there too, okay? But just be careful, and if you can see that. So you can see that much better now, okay? Try not to make things look horsey with a big outline. Horsey is a technical term, in case you didn't, or if you forget. And don't forget, another tip, if you look and you see that, oh man, this is all really pixelated, that's just because for the sake of speed, InDesign gives you a low resolution preview, because like once you get into like a 100-page catalog, it will really bog down your machine, and InDesign wants you to work fast. You can always go into View, Display Performance, and go to High Quality if you want to see all the high-res stuff. Okay, so that's a lot better. All right, so good luck. That's a good start.